Hey, welcome to Old Ass Movie Reviews. I'm Scott. There's Dave. And today we are doing a new movie. So we are the old asses in this equation.
Yep.
It is 2024's Abigail from Universal Studios. That says a lot right there. This is a vampire movie. And folks, real quick, if you're not familiar with our show, we spoil a lot of things. Usually we don't on the new ones, but I think we're going to rip this one wide open today so we can talk about it. There's a lot to talk about here. So if you want to follow along with this, stop, go watch the movie, then come back and see if you know your opinion jives with us. So that being said, let's get to the movie.
We're going to spoil everything. Oh, and we swear a lot. Possibly.
Yes,
Sometimes we don't. Last couple episodes, I don't think we swore all that much. But
maybe we've grown.
For gosh, oh golly's sake.
We've matured. No. No.
We just didn't swear a lot.
We just didn't. There was no real good reason. But obviously, the movies didn't get us that worked up.
Somebody, God bless them, they said they wish they had a cursing filter, I think, on one of our
oh, chats. I didn't see that. Was that new?
I was chuckling. I was thinking to myself, oh, so do I. I wish I had one. And I try.
Oh, somebody actually commented about our cursing?
Yeah, but they were very sweet about it. They didn't know.
No, and I get it. I get it
very much for saying it, because it is something you and I have discussed before.
We have, and we get a little carried away sometimes, but a lot of times it's just when we get really passionate, you know. So
and really remember, folks, it is just two guys talking about a movie. I mean, we review movies, but we mostly are just
mainly talking about them. Talk about them, listen along, see if you want, you know, because we like talking movies.
Yeah,
figured other people might too.
Stick through the swearing whenever it happens. We're actually kind of funny.
We're getting better, but you know, it is what it is.
Don't forget the like button, the subscribe button, the like, whatever the other buttons are.
Like, share, subscribe. Anyway,
there's a notification button there someplace. Go ahead and hit it.
I don't even know what that notification button is.
I think it's a bell. I don't know.
Whatever. Anyway, 2024's Abigail, vampire movie. Okay, so I want to talk about the way this movie started. You had mentioned a little earlier that it was creepy. Yeah, it was. This was setting up is like a standard heist movie or a crime movie. Yeah. We're starting to see all the players involved as it leads up, and you find out they're going to be doing a kidnapping, and they're kidnapping this little girl to hold for ransom and take her back to hold her for 24 hours is their conditions. I want to talk about the character Joey. She's the main character in this movie.
Melissa Barrera.
Yeah. You are made to identify with her very early on. Mm-hmm. It's very creative the way this happens. Is you see that she's a kind soul. She does really care for this girl.
Yeah, she doesn't want to see anything bad happen.
She doesn't want to see anything bad happen. But what happens is all these criminals that have been brought together don't know each other at all. But once they start to find out about each other, and Joey can read people really freaking well. And she calls them out on all their bullshit. They're all scumbags.
Yeah.
And then the cop turns it around because he can read her. And you see that Joey is not a saint. And I like that. We have somebody's like, you've already invested. You like her. I was scared to death that she was not going to make it through the movie, man. I thought, oh shit, she is not going to make it through the fucking movie.
Didn't I text you at the end of the movie? I don't want to ruin it yet. We're going to ruin it, but
we'll get there.
I don't want to ruin it yet. I did like the lollipop came into play again. Mm-hmm. In the very beginning, she's eating some candy. She got a lollipop. She takes it out. She puts it in her back in the wrapper and sticks it in her pocket. And then the story starts. And and I'm watching that and I'm like, that's going to come back into play at some point.
Of course it is. Of course it is.
That's the gun on the mantle, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But it was very
subtle. That was
very nicely done, is how it was. Yeah.
Because I forgot about it until she pulled it up, and I'm like, I'm scratching my head. It's like, I've seen that somewhere. When did I see that? I couldn't remember seeing it at the beginning, but I remember seeing that lollipop before.
Yeah. When they're all meeting for the first time, they're in the cars and stuff, waiting to do the heist, to grab the kid. And it's interesting how they do it because Joey is a medic. She was a
Yeah,
army
she's an
medic.
army medic.
And she was an army medic in battlefield situations, so she's good
She's a
under
combat medic,
pressure.
which is what they need
Doesn't
for this.
She even says she doesn't scare easy. So when she's scared,
Yeah,
you know,
she pays attention.
her hackles go up on the back of her neck. She pays attention. But the first time they're actually sitting together and talking is when they get to this big, creepy, spooky house in the middle of only God knows where. I don't
Yeah,
even know what state was it. New York? Was it
I
supposed to
have
be
no
New York?
idea. I have no idea. It could have been anywhere.
Because I wasn't
If they
sure.
said, I don't know.
Because I wasn't sure if she was walking out of the Met or
Yeah, she
if
was
it was
someplace
just supposed to be some
fancy.
major city. I couldn't
Yeah.
tell. I'm sorry. I didn't see enough of it to know.
No, and then maybe it didn't matter. It was one of those things that, yeah. So it was a big city, and she was whisked away off into the woods in that creepy mansion. No,
Yeah.
no red flags going up yet,
Oh,
and I get
yeah.
it. Still not yet.
She's still playing. She's playing. She's playing. Abigail, the little girl, is playing. She's
Yeah.
playing the part right now. And they think they got their prize. They're in the creepy house, and that's when they start all talking. Everybody else is drinking, everybody else is
Yeah.
boozing it up. They're getting shit faced. And I'm sitting there thinking, man, there's no way. There's
Uh-uh.
no way. I mean, I could see doing a lot of stupid stuff, getting drunk off my ass in that situation where I'm going to make $10 million. All I got to do is stay up for 24 hours basically and protect the package. No way am I losing.
Yeah.
No, 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 no,
So
no, no.
yeah, well, yeah. Well, but without going too far, I mean, it is neat. This movie is a slow burn,
Mhm.
and then it takes off.
Yeah.
So you've got the first bit of this movie that is building these characters. You're starting to find people you like. You're
Yeah.
starting to make connections. You're starting to really hate the wheelman. Of course, that happened really early
You
on.
hate that guy. I was happy when he bought it.
He played the role well. He played it so well. And
Yeah.
it's like, oh God, I just stop. And the Sammy, I hated to see go because she was one of the characters I liked.
Yeah, that Sammy was played by Catherine Newton.
Yeah.
And I
she was the
really
hacker.
thought she was going to get out of it for a minute there. And
I
then
did too.
Then I realized what was going on. I was like, oh no.
Yeah. So what happens, folks, is if you watch this movie, it's pretty wild when Abigail, it's discovered that Abigail's a vampire because the wheelman gets killed and they start putting the pieces together and they end up completely locked in the house. And that's when I had the first thought, oh my God, she ordered takeout.
That's exactly it.
And it's exactly what she did. It's exactly what she did.
Yeah.
Abigail is the daughter of some huge, powerful vampire. There's Christophe Lazar.
Yeah, I couldn't remember his name.
It's pretty much, it might as well be Dracula. We're dealing with universe and universal universe.
Well, he even says I've been known by a lot of names.
Yes, he does say a lot of names. That's as close as we're getting to it.
Yeah.
When they were first in the house and they were walking around and I saw paintings on the wall and it's like, oh, that's when it clicked completely for me. It's a trap. It's a fucking trap because that's Abigail in the painting.
Yeah.
And that was like, shit.
The big thing on the gate and all the family crest type stuff, that's all very reminiscent of the old school Dracula. The movie Dracula.
I'm gonna have to go back and watch, which we will be.
Then the music, the
you had mentioned Swan Lake.
Swan Lake. Swan Lake is the opening music to the original Dracula with Bela Lugosi.
Are you kidding me? Oh my God.
No. And I caught that, but I did go in and I started reading some of the stuff about it, about the show, and that was a absolutely
intentional,
deliberate choice. Yeah. There is a painting, and I think one of the paintings on the wall, and I didn't notice it and I didn't look for it because I had read the note later, is the director Matt Bettinelli, Alpin, and Tyler Gillette. I think it's Alpin's great grandfather or something like that. It's an old painting is on the wall. That's like one of his family portraits, I think, if I understood it right.
Wow.
And I thought that's pretty cool.
That's really cool.
That's pretty freaking cool. The writers were Stephen Shields and Guy Busick. and I didn't want to go into too much more of that, but yeah, that it had a good setup. You had said that it was loosely based or
or
unofficially
a
based on
spiritual successor, or it is.
Dracula's daughter.
Yeah, that's what I
That
had ran across reading.
I put that in my queue because I'm going to watch it and see
Yeah.
what the things are
Yeah.
connecting
Who
it.
knows if the story's there, but what I was reading was this is Universal's stealth attempt to resurrect and move forward with the
Yeah,
universe. And I hope
yeah.
so, because this one to me works so damn well. This is a fun movie. It's got
Mhm.
great gore. Good God. But
Yeah.
the swimming pool was probably the worst part.
The swimming pool showed up. Let's
Folks,
back up a
imagine a
little bit.
swimming pool filled with bodies.
I just want to back up a bit because when the driver who's played
Oh
by
yeah.
Angus Cloud, they're all named after the Rat Pack because you're not supposed to know their real name. So one's Dean, one's Peter, as in Peter Lawford, one's Sammy, as in Sammy Davis Jr. Then you had Rickles, who was named after Don Rickles.
Yeah.
He was an official, but he was part of it. Abigail is, of course, the vampire. And then you had Frank, who was played by Dan Stevens, and he is Frank Sinatra. And then Melissa Barrera is Joey, who was Joey Bishop. Joey Bishop in the Rat Pack was the jokester. He was the MC. He was the guy who'd come out and introduce everybody.
Yeah.
So, but everybody loved Joey Bishop. Not a guy to be messed with. He was an easygoing dude, but nobody messed with Joey Bishop. And then of course you had Giancarlo Esposito as Lambert, who's the guy who sets the whole thing up.
Yeah.
And it's funny because when Dean gets killed, the driver, you know what's happening. You know it's happening. You hear him screaming. Sammy goes running downstairs, and when she comes in, he's just standing there. He's got his back to her, and you know something's up. You're like, oh, this is going to be ugly. And she goes over and she's like, what are you, son of a bitch? You screaming, blah, 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 blah. And she goes to like get in front and she sees him, like his whole throat, like is just, his face is ripped. I mean, and then she like pushes back and his head just falls off and she loses it. She just totally loses her shit. Yeah. And she's trying to explain it to everybody. Now, I had to get up to get my dogs for about a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Did that body disappear by the time everybody else got down there, except for Rickles? Because I think Rickles saw it. Is that what happened? Because I know the vampire had it when she's dancing.
Oh yeah. I'm trying to remember, but
Nobody
yeah.
believed her. But she was trying to tell everybody what was going on, and everybody's like, "What?" And then they wind up going up to the kid's room, and they're because the girl tells the cop who her dad is.
And he shits because he knows he did Lazar dirty.
Yeah, he's out the door. He's ready to go.
He's like, fuck, I'm dead.
Yeah, he's ready to go. He double dealed this guy and he's leaving, and everybody's like, what the hell are you doing? What do you mean you're leaving? He tells everybody who it is, and everybody knows who this Lazar guy is. Which is cool
because the audience sure doesn't have a fucking clue. But what we do know is this guy is a stone cold killer and has like assassins that are nasty.
Well, at least one.
At least one. Abigail. Abigail is
it's really cool because you're building up. You're like, going in, I knew that the girl was a vampire. I just didn't know how it was going to be.
That's not a spoiler, folks. It even says it in the description. You know what you're getting into.
And I think it would have been better for them to not let everybody know that the girl was a vampire. Maybe it's just me, but it was cool that when she's like taking off the cuffs and they're all standing around arguing like who's, because at that point Rickles was killed too. Yeah. And nobody can figure out who the hell killed Rickles. They think they have a murderer in the house.
Until she slips the cuffs by just breaking her hands.
One is like going, hey, one of you guys is the killer, and I think it's this guy here. And they're all, they're all starting to do the Mexican standoff, pulling out their guns and aiming them. And Sammy's watching the little girl. She's the only one looking at the little girl. And she's taking her cuffs off. And she's
Yep.
standing there. She goes into one of her little Swan Lake things, her poses, and she's like,
Yeah,
guys,
she's into
they're
ballet.
the fucking kid or whatever. And it's like, oh man. And everybody just turns around and is looking at the kid like, how did she get out of her chains? And right then they all know that
They've been
they're
played.
in trouble. Her teeth come out and she's like,
She's wicked.
that
She
from
is
that point
wicked.
on, that's all the buildup. But from that point on, it is a roller coaster ride. It
It
is
just
just,
goes right there. The brakes come off, and this movie
yeah,
just goes right down. I mean,
yeah,
it's a lot of fun. It
yeah. I was
really is.
a lot funnier. It actually
Yeah,
had humor in it
it had a
that I
lot of
wasn't
humor.
expecting. I was
Yeah,
expecting a lot of. I expected the gore,
yeah,
but I was expecting much more thriller,
yes,
more
yes,
more panic. I was expecting more panic. You know, like as you watch something, how you're like, oh, this is uncomfortable. Oh, that
yeah. It's
wasn't
not
really
there.
there. This was a fun.
This is a fun movie.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
you know
It
what?
it
When I
is a
watch
gore
this,
fest.
it is a gore fest. You know what it reminds me of? Violent Night,
Yeah,
a wonderful Christmas movie that doesn't really scare you, but it is gory
yeah,
as hell. This is
yeah,
a gore fest to an extent, and yeah, it's got some pretty gnarly stuff in it.
yeah,
And
yeah,
it's funny, and the energy, the vibe. I felt like I was watching old movies, and it was like you have a
yeah.
good time. The monsters are scary, but they're not so damn scary you can't go to sleep at night.
You can watch the movie and go, wow, that creature was creepy, but they wrote it in such a way where you're like, but it was a fun ride. If
Yeah,
it, I think it would have been a thriller if the little girl, if you would not have known that the little girl was the killer, somehow if you would have kept that
it
secret
would have been a neat
through about
twist.
through about three-quarters of the movie, it would have been much, and I say much scarier, and I am more saying that for
More
me,
suspenseful or
yeah,
more.
much more suspenseful for the
Yeah,
payoff. But I really did like how they did it. They're all in the same room. They all have the same effect. They all have the same reaction at the girl just revealing herself. And that girl has no F's to give at that point. She's done. She's like, dinner time.
time to eat. Time to eat. I'm hungry. Gotta
who's
hand me a
the
snack.
who's the first snack?
She's
Uh
wonderful. She is.
that kid.
You
Sorry.
find out through the course of the movie that she is obviously very old. We're
Alicia Ware
talking,
is the little
yeah,
girl who plays
she is
Abigail.
phenomenal job portraying Abigail, and you
As
sense her age. You sense
yeah,
you see the little girl as the ballerina,
yeah.
but
She plays that part as a
when
little
she's the
kid perfectly.
vampire, it turns, and it's not drastic. It just shows
Right.
her ability to act is
Right.
you believe
Right.
every second of it. She's manipulative.
Mhm.
She's mean. She's evil,
She
and
never lied.
she never lied, and she's
She never.
actually
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go
no.
ahead.
You see the evilness and
Oh
everything,
yeah.
but what comes out is her hurt and her being upset over the neglect from her father. And
Mhm.
I was not ready for that in this movie. That surprised
You
me.
you actually by the end of this movie, you feel for that kid. You're like,
Yes.
oh, she's doing all of this
Just to get her dad's attention.
just to get her dad's attention,
She's
just to be
taking out
loved
all the
by her
guys who
dad.
screwed her father over.
Yep. And she figures if she kills all her dad's enemies, her dad will be
He'll
proud of
love
her
her.
and love her again. And that is really telling.
That's what's
And
cool about this movie.
there's a scene early on in the movie that they're supposed to have kept the girl blindfolded,
Yeah.
but Sammy doesn't. Sammy takes the blindfold off, but Sammy has her mask up, so you can't really see
Yeah.
who she is. And
Doesn't
they're
matter. She
talking.
already knows who she is.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. She already knows everything. But she takes the handcuffs and instead of having them behind her, she puts them in front so the little girl's more comfortable. And she's telling the girl, she go, don't worry, nothing's gonna happen. I'm gonna make sure, I'm just here to make sure you're okay. I'm the only one that's gonna come and talk to you, blah, blah, blah. And she does the pinky promise. Like
Yeah.
when the little girl's, how do I know I can trust you? And she pulls up her pinky, she says, I promise you, I pinky promise you, nobody's gonna hurt you. And 5 minutes later, that jerk, Dan Stevens, who plays Frank, walks in. He doesn't have his mask on. The little girl's just staring at him, and he's like pulling up his
Yeah,
face.
he
He's like,
shits his pants.
and that's how he finds out who her dad is, because
Yeah.
he's threatened to blow her head off and blah blah blah. And that's when the conversation, all everybody comes upstairs.
But
And
back it up just a second, though.
pinky promise.
When she walked out of the room, when Joey walked out of the room, is one of the most chilling things that are said in the entire movie.
Yeah.
When Abigail looks at her and says so innocently, "Joey, I'm sorry what's going to happen to you tonight," or whatever,
I'm
something
really
along those
sorry
lines.
what's going to happen to you.
Yep. And
But
I
you
think
know
she was
what?
sincere.
Yeah, she really was like, I'm sorry, I got to kill
Now,
you.
this
but I
person's
gotta
been
kill
nice
you.
to me, but she's on a different level than humans. It's
Oh yeah, yeah, she's definitely on. But that's what's funny when she finally makes her promise to Joey, or to Sammy. No, Joey. That's right, Joey.
Joey.
Melissa.
Yeah.
When she finally makes her promise to Joey and says, if you help me kill this other guy,
I'll let
you go. No matter what, I'll let you live.
Mm-hmm.
I'll intervene, whatever. And she goes through all that crap.
Oh my God, yes.
There's a scene in the movie where she's bit on the neck. Joey is bit on the neck.
Yeah. Joey turns.
Abigail has been taken out of commission almost completely by this point by, I don't want to say exactly who, but by a newcomer and an old person in the show. And it gets convoluted, but it's really cool how they pull it off. And Joey's got to fight, and she's just getting
oh man, that's bad.
Hell beat out of her, man. That was a good scene. That was a scene that for me felt very much like an Ellen Ripley moment.
It did.
Ellen Ripley fighting the aliens. I accepted Joey as the heroine 100%.
Absolutely.
Even before that point, but at that point, I was like, this is a mother trying to protect her daughter and her son that you don't see.
Yeah.
That you've never seen except on the
one she abandoned. So these are deep characters, and they are flawed. Yeah. And like I said, Joey is designed for you to get behind right away. Yeah. Well written. It worked 100%. Mm-hmm. And she is the final girl. But like at that fight, you're waiting this whole movie for Dad to show up. You're waiting for Dracula to show up, and he does. And I'm like, oh shit.
And when
he's just gonna kill Joey. He's because
he's still got a boner against her. He knows who she is already.
Yeah, she screwed him.
He's still gonna. But I liked how that's when I realized that little girl hasn't lied through the entire movie.
She never did.
Whoever would have opened that gate, she would have let live.
Yeah.
But what's his name? Couldn't let it go. Had to go give her the last taunt to make sure the door was locked.
Oh, what an idiot. But anyway, that was that character.
Yeah, it was the character. When the dad shows up and she's like, no, Dad, she helped me. You leave him alone. And he comes floating in and he's just going to go after Joey. She cuts right in front of him and stops the dad. And he's like, what the?
Yeah, they have a moment, which is good.
And it was very, very telling because she looks at him and she says, you weren't here. She was here when you weren't. And I think that was very much when she realized Joey became her mom at that moment. I think. Now, I may be reading way too much into it, but it feels like
it could be seen that way.
Herself remembered what a mother was supposed to be.
Maybe, but
and kicked in and said, she was here when you weren't. Dad's like, well, I came when you called. It didn't dawn on him. And then I think when she says something else, and I forgot what it is, but it's the dad looking down at his daughter, complete acceptance. Like, I forgot. Like you realize Dracula or whatever he's supposed to be.
Yeah, it's Dracula.
Forgot what it was supposed to be, what he was supposed to be doing for his daughter.
Yeah.
And then he realized,
which was cool. I wasn't expecting this.
It's almost, it's like he's looking around and he's almost like thinking, oh shit, I just created this. Like I did this to this kid. And it's just very telling. And then he looks over.
Well, that's why they made
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's why I think they made a point to show the paintings of father and daughter, so much of them together.
Yeah, the statue.
Everything, I think it was all by design for us to start to feel for Abigail. Well written, dude. Well written. But I love that. You're right. Yeah. He comes to that acceptance, And that's
Mhm.
what I love it. He looks at Joey and says, "You better go," or whatever. It's getting close to dinner time or something. I
Yeah,
forget what
yeah.
he makes a
I'm
joke
getting. I think he
almost.
says something like, "I'm getting peckish." It's about dinner time,
Yeah, so
and
that
the
means
little
get the fuck
girl.
out.
And as she's leaving, the little girl says something, like walks up behind her and says something. And I'm like, "Oh fuck, they're not going to let her out. They're going to kill her." And the little girl says something, and I was half expecting the little girl to be standing at the doorway
Yeah,
when Joey drove away,
I was
but
too.
she wasn't. And I think that's probably a better call than what I would have done. Um, but yeah, I kept expecting, I swear to God, I kept expecting
Well, I wanna take
Joey
a
to
moment.
buy it.
No, I did too. I did too. So it was great to see the final girl made it out. She did not kill the big bad guy because
Right.
there was a
There's no
level.
way she was going to be able
Uh,
to.
nobody would have been able to. Frank, I mean, I love the double talk or the backstab from
Double cross.
Jean Carlos
Yeah.
Esposito, which I don't believe he really wanted to double cross Lazar because he knew there's nobody. I think it was just to tempt Frank. I don't think
Mhm.
he was expecting to get killed by Frank.
No, I
So,
don't think he was either.
yeah.
I don't think he was either.
So that
But guess
was
what?
yeah. Yeah. What here's my fantasy ending for this movie. We have an end credit scene. Abigail in her studio downtown dancing and
Hmm.
Joey looking through a window.
Yeah.
So that's how I would have ended it. I like thinking that we're not done here.
If they did a sequel to this, it would have, in my opinion, and I don't know how you'd pull it off to be just as good as this movie.
Yeah, I don't
But
think it's going to happen.
I was kind of, because that little girl, I mean, she was what, 13,
Yeah,
14,
she's
maybe? I don't
unfortunately
know.
she's going to be older now, and
Yeah,
that's
she's older now. She's got to grow up. And
yeah,
that's the sad thing whenever you do a story like this. You would have had done two or three movies back to back to back
yeah,
to keep that kid's age about right.
yeah.
But it
Stranger
would have been
Things ran
cool.
into that problem when after writers' strikes and all kinds of stuff, they would
Yeah.
come back. Wow, everybody's
Ev-
2 or 3 years older, and
Everything
kids
that happened
grow
to this,
big time. Yeah,
yeah, everything that happened in this movie during the writer's strike and all that crap, it's like, oh man,
yeah.
I'd have just kept filming. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Um, but that kid, I would have liked to have seen her have to team up with Joey again.
Mm-hmm.
Like either to save the father or something's happened to Joey and Abigail's like maybe a rival vampire gang. I don't know. But I was just sitting there thinking I wanted to see more with those two characters.
Mm-hmm.
And one you can't trust because she is a vampire. She is basically a demon from hell. Or something, maybe Joey's kid gets kidnapped
Yeah,
or
I mean,
your friend's
there's a lot there, and
Joey's son. I mean, anything could have happened. It's like, God, there's so much that they could have
it's
done with the story.
it's nice that it's left open. I
Yeah,
really want to see more. Let's go ahead and let's do a Dracula movie now. It's already set up
with that
with,
guy.
with that guy.
That
Perfectly
guy is
fine.
Dracula.
Here's what I want to say about that. I don't know what traditional Dracula looks like, and that's in my head. But he was not your traditional looking Dracula to me. I thought he was unique, and
Hmm.
that's what intrigued me. And I was like, this
Yeah,
is an interesting take. His eyes were really fucking cool.
yeah.
So
Well,
I thought it was different.
he's a
I don't
very
know, maybe
lean. I'm sorry. Go
yeah.
ahead.
He's very lean, and I tend to think back on the look of Bela Lugosi
Right.
and even Gary Oldman's portrayal and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
So this was different. This was almost he was good looking, but he could have been Nosferatu because he
Yeah.
was so thin.
Like
So
he's a very lean actor. He looks very tall. But then they did that upshot when he shows
yes,
up, so you know he's more menacing than anybody else in this movie
yeah.
because he's the only one that was shot at that angle. If I,
Hmm.
yeah, he's the only one that would
Pretty
get
much, I
got
think,
that
because it
upshot.
was very noticeable. So they switched,
Yeah,
and now
you're like,
you see
oh,
just how big he is.
here's the big baddie.
Oh
Here's
yeah,
the big
oh
baddie.
yeah. Y'all
But
gonna learn today.
if he did Dracula, let's say they just, morbid curiosity, they went ahead and was like, we're gonna reshoot Bela Lugosi's Dracula, but
Sure.
we're gonna extend it a little bit. Put him in Bela Lugosi's cloak, the whole 9 yards, make him look the part back in the day, and
Redo the story. Yeah,
he'd be really creepy. The story's already there.
the story's
Don't
there.
write anything new. Don't do anything different. Just do the
Okay,
story.
I'm probably going to catch some shit for this as a hypocrite, but because I
Right.
always dog remakes, and because
Yeah,
a lot of
yeah.
times they're unnecessary. But this is one area that I don't care. You can tell Dracula is a favorite story of mine. I love the
Mhm.
book so much. You
Yeah.
can retell this to me multiple times in multiple ways, and I'm going to watch. I like the
Right.
modern adaptations. I like the crazy ones. Just any of them. I just
Mhm.
love the character. So
Oh yeah, he's
go ahead, redo it. I don't even take offense to it. It's weird, but that's one of those things.
but like you said, it's like a mummy story. It's like a
Yeah.
Dracula. The only one that I'm having a problem with is I heard a rumor that they wanted to remake Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yeah, we were talking about that last week. Yeah.
And that's a big negatory good buddy for me.
Yeah, we'll see how it is. We'll see. We'll see.
If you're gonna do it, you have to do it as a period piece. And these monkeys in Hollywood don't want to do anything as a
I don't
period
you know
piece.
what? Abigail turned out pretty good for
Yeah, but it's
for a
mostly a separate item, I think.
it is a
Don't you,
separate item.
don't
You're
you feel like
right.
it's a
And I think that's why they did it. I think that's
Mhm.
why they did it is because you know what? We can get away with this. We're not going to upset too many people, but
I,
especially if they
I
don't advertise it as that.
I will say this: Alicia Ware was a great actress because she plays the little kid perfectly. And like you said, she flicks that switch and
Dude,
she's this ancient vampire that just loves
you
eating.
know her age just by the way she talks. And it's like, damn.
But what I was really afraid of, and I don't know how to word it without sounding weird, but Hollywood being Hollywood and putting a little girl in a movie, I was really afraid they were going to try and sexualize a little kid.
No, I get that, but they
I was
didn't. So
really afraid, and they didn't. So, folks,
no.
if you looked at the movie poster, or you looked at something and went,
This
I don't want
movie's
to see
damn
that.
near PG.
This movie, with the exception of all the swearing,
You take the swearing and cut some of the gore, you really don't
you'd
have
have
a
a
bad.
PG
It's
13
a
movie.
PG
Honestly,
13 movie. Yeah, yeah,
um, the humor is childish humor. Humor is right up my alley.
yeah.
I
It was
honestly
funny.
think people that are that experienced in death and killing would have that kind of attitude towards what was going on.
Hmm.
Uh, the little girl Sam is Sammy, and who was it? Yeah, Sammy. When Joey is like, it's a vampire. We got to figure out how do you kill a vampire? And Sammy's like, are we really doing this? And everybody's throwing out like how to kill
Yeah, and
vampires.
she's
She's
like,
like,
no, no.
well, I guess we're doing this. Oh, okay, you got garlic, you got
Yeah,
holy water, you got
that was great. She shows up with a sack of onions.
yeah. He's like, really onions? She's like, I am not a chef.
That
I
was
do
great.
not
That
cook.
was that was a great bit. I loved it. But what I
The
really
second
liked was when
onion
she did get the garlic and Abigail has it and she just
Yeah, she just sniffs it. She's like,
yeah.
throws it over her shoulder. It's like, this is not going to go well for
No, so
anybody in
we
that
have
room.
changed some conventions, some laws, which are cool. The exploding from just a direct bit of sunlight, almost instantaneous, was insane.
Oh,
Explosions
that
from
hand.
being
Oh,
stabbed in the heart. Yeah, Abigail sticks her hand in the sun, and it blows her hand right off,
oh yeah,
and she has
yeah.
a
And
stump, and it's like,
she
holy
feels
crap!
it. Yeah, she
Yeah,
felt that.
yeah.
That was a good thing because the vampire, like in a lot of vampire movies, you hit a vampire and they're like and they come right back. You hit them in the arm and they're like they come right back. In
Here,
this movie, the vampires feel pain.
yep.
Even when she got shot in the head that first time,
Oh, she felt
yeah,
it.
she felt that. The second and third time, I think she was okay. Like she
Yeah,
knew
that
what
was
to
it.
expect, so it didn't affect her that much. But that first one, that
Yeah,
first bullet, she felt that. She did not like it.
yeah, yeah. So that was cool. That was cool. I I'm gonna go on record. I love this movie. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I'm glad we chose it. I was apprehensive
Right,
after
right,
Universal's last foray into this with Tom Cruise's horrible Mummy. Not a horrible Tom Cruise movie, a horrible Universal movie.
right,
So
right. I get it. I
anyway,
get it. Yeah,
so
and
yeah,
I
I
was
say
like I
watch
said,
this. This is a lot of fun.
I was very happy that they didn't do anything stupid with the little kid. That's what I was afraid of. Like at one point, I thought they're going to do something weird with this kid, and I'm just going to shut it off and walk away. I'll be done. But they
No,
didn't. The
I
kid
get it.
is just this. She's this cute little dancer kid, and then all of a sudden, she's a
She's a
vampire killing
vampire.
all these bad guys.
Yep.
The good scene on the way out, whenever she says, "Tell Tristan I said hello," or whatever, and she turns around and tells the girl the real name.
His name is Caleb.
Like, yeah, she's like, I know.
Yeah, she knows. She knew everything about her.
He knows everything. That's when it clicked on me. Like, she needs to do something. Like, the next movie needs to be her and Caleb saving Joey or something. I don't know. Just something needed to happen with those guys again.
And I like that.
That's
I like
just
that.
the wish list. That's just like me wanting another movie. You know,
I'm with you. I'm with you. So I'm glad they left it open ended enough to where I can make that movie in my head. So
yeah, exactly.
It's not. I'm so thankful. I really thought Joey was going to bite it. No pun intended.
I was expecting her to be, but in the van when she pulls the lollipop out, she's like, look, she opens up her bag and there's nothing in it. She's like, and she's like, oh. And the whole time I'm sitting there and she pulls it out, and she unwraps it, and she puts it in her mouth. She's just like, ah. I'm like, get the hell out of there.
I'm damn near screaming, start the freaking van.
That's why I kept waiting for Dad to show up or the kid, and you know, something happened to her. But as soon as she drove away, and that was the credits start rolling, I was like, holy crap, the kid hasn't been lying through this whole movie. That's when it dawned on me, Abigail's character never lied.
No.
You may not have liked the truth that you were hearing, but she never lied. Which is cool. The one thing that about this little girl that I read, at Alicia Ware, is I guess she was having trouble, like initially, like, how am I supposed to play Abigail? And, you know, and the director was like, well, play Abby as the dancer, as the little kid, play her like a little kid, and then play the vampire as Abigail. And just having the two different names with two different personalities
helped her differentiate.
The light clicked on for the kid and was like, oh, I got it. Yeah, okay. I see what you want. And then
kids got great imagination. Just like, they can go with it.
Oh my God. And it's always a little thing that a director can either absolutely make you like your eyes just come open, or just destroy an actor's vision because they're not good directors.
Yeah.
But a good director will tell you, here, do it like this. And then as soon as she's the vampire, she's Abigail now, you know? The other one was Abby. This one's Abigail. And it's like, two different people, got it. And she played it perfectly, man. She's a good kid, good actor. I hope she's got a long career.
Oh, she should.
Bad happens to her in Hollywood, because God forbid.
All right. So Dave, your final takes are?
Oh, I love this movie.
Watch it. Okay.
I liked this movie a lot. I really did. Motion picture, rated R for strong, bloody violence and gore throughout, pervasive language, and brief drug use. When did they use drugs?
Alcohol, maybe.
Alcohol? Drinking the booze?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
because whenever she jabs her in the neck with
you know, and
but that's you got to do that to a vampire.
Well, you do. That's no, sedating. It's there for the no. Anyway, so that's it, folks. Abigail, definitely worth a watch. Hit the like, hit the share, hit the subscribe, and check us out. We have more on the way. And thanks again for being a listener.